Hey everybody, Blair Nightingale here from Tradeway. It is time for Stock Talk Thursday. Doing this one pre-recorded out here in Tampa. Going to meet some new Tradeway students this weekend. So very excited for that, but excited to be here with you guys today for Stock Talk Thursday. As I always say, Stock Talk Thursday is meant to be a place that you can come on Thursday evening. It's quick, it's straight, it's simple. Put economics. How do we look at the markets this week so that you don't have to fish through all this complicated stuff? You can just come and get it simple. Like I said, just get it straight. What is going on in the markets and how can that help you? Always taking some time to go over what's hot, what's not, and then what's one thing in the news, just one major thing in the news that'll be helpful for you. So very simple. We aim to just make this easy for you. Okay. If you are the first, if you've been here for, if you are here for the first time, I'm stumbling over my words today. If you're here for the first time, then we're just so glad to have you on here. This is Stock Talk Thursday. We've got broadcasts going on every day of the week almost here on YouTube and Facebook. So we're glad you came out to join us. We value that you're investing some time with us, and like anything we invest in here at Tradeway or teach you to invest in, we want you to get a good return on that. So that's our aim. If you're joining us and you've been with us many times, of course, we're so glad to have you back always. And we welcome you guys just sending in feedback. Obviously, this week, because we're out here out of state, we're normally in the great state of Texas. We've got a pre-recorded session. Not normally how we do this. Normally, we're doing this live, so you get some more interaction, but you can always post on this video on YouTube or Facebook, even though this is a recorded session, and the team is going to go out, look at that stuff. Any questions, concerns, comments, anything you have, feedback, topics you would like to see videos on for the future, that is something that we're going to continue to watch for. So if you do submit that information, that's something that we can jump on and get back to, regardless of doing a pre-recorded session. Okay. Not a lesser session at all, because I got some great stuff that I want to go over. Now, I mentioned very simply what's hot, what's not, and what's in the news. And we've done this. If you've been with me, you know it's time to put on those track shoes, because we're going to run fast here. It's very simple. I want to make it very clear, but we're ready to dive right in. First of all, just quickly looking at the S&P, I have to say, patterns work, right? We've had our Tradeway boot camp this week, where we had a number of students in our class Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, all day. We did sessions, just doing an intense boot camp on the Tradeway stock trading system with all the coaches here at Tradeway. And one of the things I found that I was talking about the most this week, helping traders get positioned to be successful in the markets, was patterns. The simplicity of patterns, how helpful patterns are. It's not everything, right? We're taking a whole week in the boot camp to teach you how to use those and what happens as a result of being able to find them. But in the beginning, it is so foundational, just looking for patterns. I almost want to say, you want to know what's hot, right? Hot or not? Hot is to learn the patterns, learn to find great patterns, draw support and resistance. That's going to help you tremendously. If you don't even know what I'm talking about yet, just looking at the screen here, there is a basic concept here where the line at the bottom, many of you watching this already know this, but the line at the bottom is support. The line at the top is resistance, essentially a ceiling and a floor. It tends to bounce up at the floor here, 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 right? It tends to fall at the ceiling here, here, several times here. And what did we see today? Falls at resistance. Now, we don't know if it's going to go all the way down here or not. We don't know that, but we see it fell today, telling our students the last few days, hey, got to be cautious. Got to be cautious in here, right? Buying stocks out there. Why? Because the market's at resistance. So I just want to say that, because this pattern has just been awesome. Just awesome. If you don't know how to trade stocks yet, it's a great time to learn how to trade stocks, because the pattern in the market is reliable, predictable, repeatable, right? This isn't ancient hieroglyphics here. Now, it may feel that way to some of us just because we haven't learned the skill set yet, but it's bouncing off the floor and it's falling off the ceiling. So I just think that's amazing. Now, jumping into stock talk to give you some quick things here. What's hot? What's not? Well, here's what I want to show you first. I want to usually start with what's hot. I want to start with what's not. I'm going to show you a few today. All right. I'm going to show you a few. And I always want to try to show you some specific stocks that are not doing so well, but also give you an idea of why. How does that actually affect our trading? I don't just want to tell you a stock that went down this week. What I want to do is equip you with a skill and learn a lesson from what happened in that stock so that you can avoid some of that risk in the future. That's what I want to help you do. So we start out here. We look at JWN. What happened? Earnings. And I'm going to go through a couple here. Big gap. What's a gap? When the price, let's say on Thursday, opens much or at least somewhat lower than it closed at on Wednesday. I'm going to say it again. Let's say the stock closes at $10 on Wednesday. It doesn't have to open at 10 on Thursday morning the next day. It can open at 9, 9.50, 8.50, 7.50. You say, Blair, it can open lower than it closed? It can. Could also open higher. In this case, it closed this day at 37.81 and then opened the next morning at 33.10, right? And then it dropped again. Why? Earnings. Okay? Major news item on a stock, not necessarily the whole market per se, but major news item on a stock is earnings. And some stocks out there have just gotten killed the last few days on earnings. Let's look at a few more. Look at this one. Retail, Urban Outfitters. Okay. Down. Now, what's interesting about this one is you kind of see that this guy's just going sideways here. So if you've been in our 30-day challenge or our step 1 course, you might be interested to see that line right there. That's definitely interesting. Urban Outfitters, earnings, Dollar Tree, ouch. Lost some dollars here. 106, right? Down to 93, 12%, down 12% today. Slightly up after hours, but only a few pennies. Way down. All right. You say, well, Blair, you don't know if it's going to keep going down from here. I don't, but it sure got crushed. And these moves happen after hours. Okay. Whether it's right before the trading day or right after the trading day, it happens outside of regular trading hours. Okay. So if we had been in these positions, we would not be able to get out of the position before these price swings actually occurred. Okay. Now here's something interesting. You'll notice, and this is a good example of what I just said. Here's today's candlestick. The stock actually closed at 114.09. What's it at right now? 709 down at 107. You can see that right over here on the bottom of the screen. After hours, it's dropping, right? Why? Because they reported earnings after hours, and traders with the ability to trade after hours, right? That's a special privilege. They are actually just selling the stock. If you had been in the stock, it would be falling. You would be holding however many shares of the stock you bought, and it would be dropping. So the not is on earnings, right? Not hot. But the main thing that's not hot here is holding a position over earnings, right? If you're trading, not investing, long-term investing, if you're trading a stock, we don't hold a stock over earnings. And this is why. That is not a hot idea. Boom, killed on earnings, down over 10%. And that's where it's at. I mean, it was down even further than that, 33.75 approximately earlier today, another $2 down. So it's a huge swing in that stock. Okay, let's look at one more. Boom, breaking the 50-day moving average. Autodesk down 10%, right? $32 loss on the stock. Slightly up after hours, but for the most part, down. And we don't know, is this going to kick off a pretty significant drop in the stock? We don't know that yet, but we know staying in over earnings, it's a 50-50 gamble. It's a coin toss, and trading is never guessing, gambling, or going for it. And this is 100% gambling, And that's what I wanted to highlight for you today. Some stocks getting crushed on earnings. Now, you might say, if you're a little more experienced, well, yeah, Blair, but there's also some stocks that are actually exploding up on earnings. And that happens, right? A lot of the times we'll see a big gap up or a big gap down, but there's no way for us to know which way it's going to go. So again, and I stress this, when we are trading stocks, okay, specific skill set, we don't stay in over earnings. Not a hot idea. Moving on. I'm actually going to look at this one first. We're going to come back to that one. Okay. I just want to highlight this. Listen. Trading is something, and we talked about this in the boot camp. Trading is something where we kind of learn a system, right? That's the difference between guessing, gambling, and going for it. And actual trading is a system that helps us know what to trade, when to trade, and why to trade that stock. So it can actually be very simple in the beginning to learn it. And then what traders tend to do is they overcomplicate it. And if they stick with it, in the end, they come back to a place where it's simplified, right? Trading is simplified. And what I want to show you on this chart is, oh my goodness, look at Costco. Just look at Costco. This is not complicated. All right. Now, there are some things we would have to go into about when would I buy. Remember, I said what, when, and why. We'd have to talk about when would I buy a stock like this. But there is no doubt that this stock has been incredibly hot. And we've not talked about this stock at length here on Market Monday. Costco performing through COVID, lockdowns, you name it. It had an initial dip, but man, it smashed through that by the beginning of April last year, and it has not looked back. Costco continuing to perform and just be a fantastic stock in that it's just running higher and higher and higher, barely getting below its 10-day moving average since the middle of June. And even then, only going sideways for a little bit. Stocks will often take a little bit of a sideways break. You can see where it's actually, it's a pretty tight range, but it's really just kind of rolling right back and forth between 378 approximately and 387, right? $10 even, until it finally breaks up through there and takes off again. What one of our coaches likes to call the smokestack, right? It doesn't even hardly come down at all. It's just floating away, right? So Costco doing very well. I wanted to show you this one. What's so hot about this one? You say, Blair, that's like the exact opposite of what you just showed us. Why would you say that's hot? Well, here's what I'm going to say about this chart being what I would call hot. Why would I even put it in that category? Well, it's never about me guessing and knowing what the stock is going to do, right? Because no one knows what the stock is going to do. We can use our skill set to know what the stock is most likely to do. Now, you can see putting some lines on here and showing that this guy is in a textbook downtrend, right? What's a downtrend? It's something that trends down, right? It has the tendency to move down. We say lower highs and lower lows. The highs are getting lower and the lows are getting lower. So it's what we might call a dog of a stock, right? Since February, it's been just getting crushed. Okay. So why would you say hot? Well, I just want you to pay attention to something where we've got a downtrend that is making those lower lows, right? Every time it's getting down lower, and it's a pretty clean pattern, not hard to see, right? Right along the 20-day moving average, it gets up to that level and falls to a new low. Finally, after this earnings report, here's the other side of that coin, boom, it finally breaks out of that range, breaks out of that 20-day moving average. So I might begin to watch a stock like this to pull back down, create support, and maybe we'll have to wait and see, form a new pattern outside of this stock, right? Stocks, I mean, this has gone from $146 to $40. Now, there's a reason why a stock has gone down that much. I'm not suggesting I would just run out and buy the stock because it's cheap. Okay, that is not how we approach it. But if buyers feel that this is a deep enough discount for this stock and it starts to form a new pattern, which now it's shown at least enough strength to get out of the downtrend, then it has real potential to turn into a hot stock, at least for a period of time. And as traders, we don't really care if the stock does really well over the long term, right? We are not looking to buy and hold this stock for a significant period of time. We just want to get in and see if it has a pattern that we can exploit for a period of time. If it forms that pattern, and for that reason, this one is at least an honorable mention tonight. And finally, we come to the news of the day, which has really been the news of the season. There's a lot of intensity in the news cycle, to be sure, and it's only increased. You know, I talk about how the market only really cares about what it cares about. So far, Afghanistan example, the market not really paying attention. That's not to say that people on Wall Street don't care about it. Okay, I'm not saying that, but I am saying as far as the fundamental impact it has on our economy at this point, they're not paying attention to that. What are they paying attention to? The Fed. They're paying attention to the Fed. You say, Blair, we talked about the Fed last week. Why are we talking about the Fed again? Because the Fed's having another meeting this week, right? Normally, we get one every 2-3 months, something like that, maybe a little more frequent than that. They do about 8-9 meetings a year. And then when they have a meeting, they make an announcement. Well, Wall Street pays attention to that announcement. Do we like the announcement or do we not like the announcement, right? Last week, we saw them make an announcement. Wall Street didn't really like that much. Now, it recovered pretty strongly all week, but they didn't like that announcement. And we let you guys know, hey, we've got to digest what happened. And that's what we started to do last week. Well, because they have their annual summit, okay, they do an annual summit, usually in Wyoming. They canceled it and they're doing it remotely this year because of COVID. But they are going to make an announcement tomorrow morning. Okay, the Fed chair, Jerome Powell, he's going to make an announcement at 10 a.m. Eastern time. So it's a little bit earlier than normal. We're usually into the afternoon, late to the trading session on a Wednesday by the time we hear from the Fed. Tomorrow, going to be a little bit earlier. Okay, what's the difference from last week going to be? Well, we don't really know, right? We don't really know. Are they going to basically just tell us the same thing? So here's what we do. We don't try to guess. We just make sure everybody's aware that whatever they do, the market can and may react to it, maybe positively, maybe negatively. But if we're out there and we're actively trading, then we can expect that it has some kind of impact on our trades, and we're prepared for that. Or if we're not trading yet, we can wait for the dust to settle, see what's going to happen more so later into the session Friday, perhaps even Monday, and then we can make some decisions when the dust settles somewhat and some of that digestion has happened, or perhaps indigestion if the market doesn't like what the Fed has to say. So we're watching for the Fed tomorrow, remembering that the S&P, if I go back here as we close out our session today, is just doing what stocks do, right? Not a lot of mystery here. Up to resistance, falling down off resistance, right? If the market likes what they have to say, we expect that this is probably going to catch some support at the 10 or 20-day moving average, if it even gets down that far, and begins to move up, right? And we'll follow along with our students from there. If they don't like it, then perhaps we see, like last week, a deeper pullback, right? The last thing I'll say is that the market, they're always trying to guess and discern what the Fed's going to say. What we're watching for is there any surprises that Wall Street didn't see coming? Any surprises that come that cause Wall Street to correct prices, right? They want to adjust prices to any information they didn't previously have. They also are looking for confirmations, right? If they've guessed what the market's going to do, and then, or what the Fed rather is going to do, and then the Fed basically does what they thought they were going to do, then that can create some peace and calm in the market, and that can be a positive thing. In that case, we may see it lift, but we don't have to guess, and we don't have to know. We actually really don't have to know. We just have to know what's coming so that we can be ready. And as I always say, I'll close with this. As traders, we don't have to know what the market's going to do. We have to have a skill set, and we have to know what we are going to do. And that is how we have confidence no matter what the markets do. And it releases us. It releases us from this desire to somehow have a crystal ball and know what the market's going to do. We actually don't have to have that. We just know that the market moves. Sometimes it moves up. Sometimes it moves down. And either way, there are opportunities for you and me when the market moves up and down. We just got to learn some things, right? We just got to learn the skill set of trading. If you haven't learned the skill set of trading yet, if you're not on that journey with us, head on over to tradeway.com. Right there on the main page, you can take our step one, start your journey. That's exactly what it is. It's just the start of the journey, right? We take this down to the ground level. So simple. I knew nothing, zero. I like to tell people when I came in, we're going to have 100 and some new students in this meeting this weekend in Tampa. I'm going to tell them the same thing, right? I didn't know a thing when I stepped into a Tradeway step one, start your journey in February of 2016. And if you're interested in learning how to do that, whether the market's moving up or down, wouldn't it be nice to have confidence when the market's moving down? People don't know. You can do that. You can have that. There's even possibilities to make money when the market moves down. And we can show you how to do that. So head on to tradeway.com, step one, start your journey right there on the main page. Sign up for the class and you can join us there. Again, if you have any questions, comments, anything, you can go ahead and comment on this video, like and subscribe so that you don't miss anything that's coming from us. I'm going to be back on Monday doing Market Monday at 6 p.m. Central Time. Regular programming, I'll be with you guys live. But if you comment, post on there, the team will get it, pass it on, and we will get you taken care of. Appreciate you once again for being on with us tonight. Always a pleasure to be able to do this with you. Thank you for coming back. If it's your first time, we're glad to have you. As I said, hope to see you next time. And thank you guys so much. Have yourselves a great weekend. Watch for that Fed report tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard will be the announcement. That's something you're going to want to watch, and we'll see you next week.